everyone, thanks for tuning in today's video doing JMA Friday. Today, having a detailed look at the weather for next month with Japanese and CFS feature models. You can take us into the middle of December. So we're not quite going to go to Christmas with this update. We'll be falling short around the middle of next month. Talking of Christmas, there'll be the 9th Christmas update tonight on the Christmas updates page. That'll be with you around 7 o'clock this evening. It'll be very interesting to see what the 9th update has in store. But as I say, this update is going to take us to the middle part of December. We'll be looking at the Japanese and then the CFS models to see what they are suggesting for the Christmas period. Well, very along with that, just say about the ads. There's links to articles on all the pages. You have a browse widgets and click through the links. You'll be helping us to pay for the website. Thanks very much for doing that. There's also video ads on most pages which open up content when you watch they go back up again, and it does help to pay for GazObvious.com. And just say about Christmas Shop. So it's been a huge success again so far this season. Do check out Christmas Shop if you'd like to do that. So all you have to do is click the green button, take you to our Christmas Shop, and then from there you can do your Christmas shopping via Amazon, and you do that by clicking through the Amazon banners. That's the key to it all. Click through the Amazon banners, it'll take you directly to Amazon where you do your Christmas shopping as well. You don't need to do anything differently whatsoever. It's just purely the fact that you've gone from GazObvious to Amazon. That means we get a revenue fee on the things that you are buying. So big thank you to everybody for doing that. It's always a very successful enterprise, and this year no different. So big thank you to everybody for doing their Christmas shopping at Amazon via GazObvious. There's still plenty of time, of course, to get those Christmas presents out to you before Christmas. So I'm going to start off 500 millibar height anomalies for the next month from the JMA, then have a look at temperature precipitation, and then we'll move on to the CFS V2. These are broken down into weekly periods, of course. So the first week will take us from the week that we are currently starting, which is the 18th through to the 25th of November. Blue is extrapolating to low pressure, and the brighter colours, orange, yellow, they extrapolate to high pressure. So we see that we've got a trough of low pressure generally to the south of the country through the course of the coming week, with a ridge out in the Atlantic and also extending up towards Greenland. Definite hints of blocking there, and also going out into Scandinavia. So we're on the cold side of a jet here, and quite unsettled. I think the jet stream, let's see how it's going. It's doing something a bit like that. Really very block pattern indeed over the North Pole. A lot of high pressure up there. So we're on the cold side of the jet stream. We're within this trough of low pressure. We're probably not tapping into truly Arctic source air, but even so, it would be fairly coolish, I would have thought, and pretty unsettled, especially down to the south. Now, between this trough in the to the south of us and the ridge over towards the east, we're probably bringing the air up from the south into the central eastern parts of Europe, and possibly dumping it over the top into that trough. So it's a very complicated, very unusual pattern. The upper air temperatures might be fairly mild, but with the mean flow probably coming from an easterly direction, I think it's likely to be pretty cool and dank and dismal, to be honest, especially with that trough providing the energy for outbreaks of rain. Now we go through to week 2, which is the 25th of November through to the 2nd of December. And what we see for this one is that the above average heights through the Atlantic and generally extending through the UK and into Europe. So it's a more simplified pattern. That trough is cut off down to the south, and I think we're just bringing the winds in probably from an easterly type direction with that one. Looks fairly settled, a lot of dry weather, particularly to the north. I would expect there'd be a risk of some quite hard overnight frost, maybe some fog as well. But generally quite a settled spell. The south may be at risk of some rain at times with those easterly winds, and of course it could be a little bit wintry by the time you get through to the start of December. Easterly winds are not going to be mild. Right, there we go with weeks 3 and weeks 4, which takes us from the 2nd through to the 16th of December, and this looks cold. We've got a blocking feature around Greenland and Iceland. We've got trough of low pressure extending through many eastern and central parts of Europe. So I think we're just bringing the winds down from the northeast, or maybe even the east with that. It does look cold to me. I think this block would be entrenching cold air from the north, maybe even Arctic sourced air down into the UK. So cold and wintry for the first half of December on today's update of JMA Friday. Very extensive blocking there. It's probably not quite a December 2010 scenario, probably not quite to that severity, but I think it would be solidly colder than average. I think there would be snow potential in there as well if we had that sort of anomaly through the first half of December. Let's have a look at the temperature and precipitation anomalies then. So that was the Northern Hemisphere view from the pole down. This is the mid-latitude view. British Isles just here in the top right-hand corner of the chart as you are looking at it. A reminder of what we have for the coming week in terms of 500 millibar height. So we've got that deep trough down to the south of us. We've got the ridging out through the Atlantic. We know it also extends to the north. And if you go over here, it extends to the east as well. So generally high pressure around the UK, and we are actually under a trough of low pressure. You would expect quite a coldish week, and that's what the model is suggesting. Temperatures coming out fairly substantially colder than average for the coming week. Now, I think we will see those temperatures lifting up a bit next week as we draw in some slightly less cold air from the east, but even so, that does look like a colder than average week overall. Precipitation through the coming week looks like this. The south is a bit wetter than average, the north a bit drier than average. It's indicative of that trough being to the southern part of the country with the blocking up to the north and the northeast. We go through to week 2, which is the 25th of November through the 2nd of December, and we have the ridge extending from the Atlantic through the UK and going off in towards the east-northeast of Europe as well. There's a trough down to the south, and the flow probably coming in from an easterly direction, which may not be overly cold. So the temperatures have lifted up a little bit. They're closer to average, maybe even for the north, slightly above average. For the south, still maybe a little bit cooler than average. I'm not sure about that. I think there would be a lot of frost through that last period of November, just into the opening days of December, so that would keep the temperature averages down. Still probably a bit cooler than average there, to be honest. Also drier than average for the end of November and start of December, so that's indicative of the high pressure ridging through the country, of course. And then we go through to weeks 3 and 4, which is the 2nd through to the 16th of December. And we have all of that blocking setting up to the north. As you can't see it because the pole is off the chart. On this view, it's up here, the North Pole and Greenland. But we've already seen, we know there's a lot of high pressure up there to the north of us. And then we've got the trough of low pressure extending through many parts of Europe, which is bringing us, I think, cold northeasterly, maybe even northerly winds. Temperature anomalies are still looking ever so slightly mild on average for Scotland and Northern Ireland, but colder than average for England and Wales. Most parts of Europe going colder than average as well, with those northeasterly winds. And precipitation still coming out more or less drier than average, although it is wetter than average down to the south. Notice much of Europe also above average with precipitation, so that will probably be snow there through the first half of December across many central parts of Europe. I think it looks a cold and wintry start to December, or a first half of December, with today's update of JMA Friday from the Japanese model. Let's see what the CFS-V2 is suggesting. Again, these are 500 millibar heights, looking from the pole down. This is the first week that we're interested in, the coming week, 18th, 24th of November. Very good agreement between the two models for this week. So there's that trough that's over and to the south of the UK. We've got the ridge up to the east, or out to the east, then up to the north, and then out to the west as well. So loads of blocking to the west, to the north, and to the east. We're under this trough with a southerly tracking jet stream. It's likely to be quite cold and really quite unsettled as well. Week 2, which is the 25th of November through to the 1st of December, placing above average heights to the north of the country. The trough is down south, so this is in agreement with the JMA as well, really. And we're bringing the winds in from the east. Would very much depend whether there's any cold air across the continent as to whether these are cold easterlies or just sort of chilly, damp and dank easterlies. For northern parts of the country, by the way, under this ridge, we're not under an easterly wind particularly. That's more for the south. So for the north, we're looking at a lot of frost and fog there for the closing days of November into the start of December. Week 3, which is the 2nd through to the 8th of December, looks a little bit different. We've got a very deep trough extending through Scandinavia and much of Eastern Europe. That's bringing a lot of cold air down there. There's also a trough in the Central Atlantic around the Azores. And then we've got blocking up towards Greenland. So I would assume we're still on the cold side of the jet there. The flow is probably doing something rather like that. Also an odd looking chart. You would expect some sort of ridging to be around here, and it doesn't show it, but I would have thought what would happen there is that this area of red would be more expansive, covering that sort of area, so much of that would be blocked. And then we'd have the trough through there, and possibly going down to there as well, which would leave us with cold northeast winds. I don't think the model's got that quite right. Remember, these are very unusual and complicated patterns. At this time of year, you would normally be expecting westish, you'd normally be expecting high pressure around the Azores, low pressure around Greenland and Iceland, and bringing the westerlies through the Atlantic into Europe. This is the complete flip of that, really. So it is a struggle for models to deal with this, to come to terms with it, because it is very much going against the default setup. So I don't think models got that quite right. I would have thought that's like to be a colder first week to December if it came off like that. And then week 4, which is the 9th to 15th of December, that one is placing a lot of ridging through western parts of Europe, also extending it up into the Arctic as well. So we've got low pressure in the central Atlantic and low pressure across eastern parts of Europe. The jet stream is probably doing something a bit like that. So Eastern Europe looks very cold indeed and snowy. For us, I would think it's cold because we're under that ridge of high pressure. It does extend up towards the Arctic as well, so we're likely to bring cold air down from a northeasterly type direction with that ridge, I would have thought. I expect the model to show milder than average, though, by this point. So temperature anomalies for the coming week from CFSV2, this is the 1824, coming out colder than average in agreement with the JMA. That one, look how cold it is across many parts of Russia and Siberia as well. Having a look at week 2, which is the 25th to 1st of December, that one also looking colder than average for most parts of the country. That's when we're bringing in those easterly winds, of course. And then week 3 goes milder than average. That's as the charts, that's as the 500 millibar heights is sending that trough more towards the eastern part of Europe. I'm not sure about that. And week 4 as well comes out significantly milder than average. I'm not sure about those 2 weeks. I think the model has got that a little bit wrong. I expect that to be substantially colder. If we have the height anomaly set up, that model is showing, which remember for week 4 is that, the ridge over the country extending up towards the Arctic. For week 3, it's that, which does look a rather odd looking chart. But I reckon those weeks 3 and weeks 4 would be colder than the model is suggesting. Finally, precipitation. The coming week looks quite unsettled. So not only is it cold on average, it's unsettled. There will be some wintry potential in there, potentially. Week 2 looks significantly drier than average from the 25th through to the 1st of December. That's as heights are rising. And then we lose a precipitation signal for week 3. Just goes to average precipitation, as it is very often on these charts. And that continues into week 4 as well. So summing it all up, we've got a fairly good agreement for the way forward through to the end of November. So it looks like it's going to be staying quite cold. The first week, coming week, going to be quite unsettled with a fair amount of rain, maybe a little bit of wintry potential in there as well. We get through to the very end of the month and into the start of December, and it still looks quite cold with more of an easterly and anticyclonic type flow. Then we got disagreement through the first half of December. Now, the JMA looks very wintry and really quite cold, I think, through the first half of December, with indications of a lot of blocking up around Greenland and a northeasterly flow. CFSV2 isn't going that far. It isn't all that far away from what the JMA is doing for the first half of December, but it's more moderated. It's actually going for a milder than average first half of December. I think that is over the top. But it's not all that far away from the JMA, so watch this space. It could be that the first half of December might give us quite a wintry spell, but we'll have to wait and see how it develops. Right, come back later on for the 9th Christmas update. That'll be with you on the Christmas updates page around 7 o'clock this evening. And tomorrow, of course, it's the weekend forecast. And we'll also do the CFS 6-month look ahead just for fun tomorrow evening as well. So lots coming up at the website. Keep checking back for more. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.